Hello, this is Group Two's presentation on the transnational model of organization. Thank you for being here. The transnational model of organization is a representation of the most advanced model for international organizations. It thrives in both organizational complexity across units and in integration. The model is best used for large, complex multinational corporations seeking to utilize advantages globally and locally, including advances in technology, innovation, and the sharing of knowledge. The strategy of integrating a network of operations and linking them together is used in order to achieve the multifaceted goals of an organization. Here's some of the literature we used for our presentation and in the research that we did for it as well. The transnational model of business is a framework that has been developed for an idealized version of a business with global operations. This type of business must operate in various regions and countries throughout the world, and each different national unit should have their own unique characteristics and roles. This model has been developed to overcome some of the shortfalls of the traditional frameworks for international businesses, such as multinational, global, and international frameworks. Global companies are able to achieve efficiency through economies of scale, but they lack the flexibility and local responsiveness. Multinational companies are extremely receptive to local needs, but their fragmented operations lead to inefficiencies. International companies are in the middle, so less efficient but more responsive than global companies and more efficient yet less responsive than multinational companies. The general goal of the transnational organization framework is to achieve global efficiency while ensuring there is flexibility of local units and a free flow of information and learning throughout the organization. The transnational model has emerged from the complexity of today's business environment, which requires a different kind of organizational structure. In a transnational organization, different business units are highly integrated with one another and are interdependent, leading to the need for mutual cooperation. A flexible coordination process allows for various units to tailor products or services to their home market while maintaining the framework or design that the entire company uses. The role of different business units will differ according to the environment that they operate in, and that role is subject to adjustments. A transnational organization centralizes some resources in areas they need them, such as factories in low-cost regions, while it decentralizes other resources that are better off being dispersed around the company. The culture and management styles of a transnational organization guide the company into collaboration. The organization is not directed by the structures of the organization, as is the case in other frameworks. The asset allocation and integrated nature of a transnational organization allow for efficiency within the organization and ensure that innovation and learning flow freely throughout the company. In this slide, we provide a summary of how the different organizational models operate and their impacts on an organization. So go ahead and take a look and you can go through those. Moving on to the strengths of the model, the integrated structure and unique allocations of resources allow for a transnational company to achieve economies of scale leading to higher efficiency. The differentiation between units within an integrated company gives different business units some flexibility, but ensures interdependent nature between the units. This interdependency leads to a free flow of knowledge sharing and learning across the company. Our focus is now on illustrations and examples of transnational organizations. We'll take a look at the application of this model by reviewing a small list of organizations that operate transnationally noting some of the challenges facing organizations and looking at what it takes for a company to become transnational. In transnational organizations, the products are designed with a modular structure which contains basic components with the core design the same in every market. The packaging and language may change based on market location. This allows organizations to fill the customer demand for the same quality and cost of products globally. Subsidiaries of the main organization who develop products assume the lead role for the organization. This is one of the key attributes of the transnational structure. Here are provided some examples of transnational organizations. And companies that once operated in a multinational environment have transitioned to transnational organizations as well. Challenges are inherent in operating in a transnational environment. The goal of organizations is to build flexibility, achieve responsiveness, maintain efficiency, and enhance competitiveness. To do this, organizations cannot use a mechanical adoption of framework in the differentiation of subsidiary roles. Organizations must foster the development of processes and make organizational resources available to all subsidiaries outside of the home environment. Transnational organizations do not have a home country that controls operations globally. Instead, they have a home environment which fosters cooperation among subsidiaries. Transnational organizations have difficulties operating in emerging markets. However, they do have a complex configuration of assets and capabilities in established markets. For example, a subsidiary in Mexico may rely on raw materials from France or other countries, but within the same organization, worldwide subsidiaries consequently rely on the same finished products from Mexico. There are key items to focus on when transforming into a transnational organization. Transnational organizations are built around coordinating the flow of parts, components, and finished goods. They also manage the flow of funds, skills, and other scarce resources through subsidiaries. Linking the flow of intelligence, ideas, and knowledge are central to innovation and learning capabilities. The transnational organization has a portfolio of coordinating processes. It is based on centralization, formalization, and socialization. The portfolio includes substantive decision-making by senior management, institutionalization of systems and procedures to guide choices, and building a context of common purpose, values, and perspectives among managers. And moving on, looking at how useful is the transnational model. The concept of transnational companies is inapplicable and can also be an extremely valuable theory or tool in the global marketplace. The model is all about becoming as efficient as possible, which in turn will allow for the company to be competitive across the globe. In order for the transnational concept to have any value or validity, management must face a number of various issues including culture, religion, tone, acceptance, government, and much more. Being transnational is highly complex, but when it is done effectively, it can be extremely successful. This is not a fine-tuned step-by-step process, however. It is a broad picture of how the entire group, organization, or company works across the globe. All right, looking at this quote, strategic organizational practices tend to be more complex and broad in scope, and more people rather than technology focused, because these characteristics are likely to make a practice less imitable and more critical for the competitive edge of a firm. So the idea of this is that it takes more than technology alone to make the model work. It takes people using technology appropriately, creatively, and innovatively to make a transnational organization effective. Since the transnational model of organization is a complex network of many individual locations, communication is essential. Without the technology necessary to communicate who, what, when, where, how, and why, the transnational would fail. Transnational organizations and management takes place across the globe. Consequently, individual economies of cities, states, countries can all have an impact on the organization as a whole. The way the model works is individual locations work to best meet their location and yet still contribute to the whole using their expertise. If one or more locations are affected by their economies, it is possible it will take a toll on resources available across the entire organization. A transnational is neither strictly centralized nor decentralized in nature. It is a combination of both of these structures. It assesses and assigns different locations, different duties and responsibilities that best fit these locations while still contributing to the whole. What works in one area may not work in another. The transnational model coordinates processes of centralization, formalization, and socialization. It does not only use one. Typically, an organization will choose to focus on just one of these areas, but because of flexibility, it is able to focus on all of these processes. It is essentially a hybrid. Transnational organizations are absolutely a result of management's approach. It is not possible for a transnational to occur and be effective without heavy management involvement. In order to achieve a successful transnational organization, management must embrace and actively pursue its qualities. This can often prove to be quite challenging, and they're often not successful. There are three main challenges to identify for managers concerning the transnational organizations. The first is to balance capabilities and perspectives. Management cannot allow for any biases to be present. They must develop and maintain the viability and effectiveness of all individual locations, groups, and people. A decision-making procedure has to be made where all voices are represented. Building flexible coordination is also important. Management must also make highly flexible coordination procedures so that the location can adjust to short-term and long-term shifts. Top management must work to obtain the commitment and cooperation of every person in the advancement of the entire organization's vision. If we were to change the transnational model into a more structured or standardized organization in terms of communication, theoretically our efficiency and flexibility would no longer be valid or applicable. The transnational model is successful if a balance between informal and formal is found. Locations should be able to operate to a degree of proficiency at their location while still meeting organizational contributions. Yet, if all formalized communication is eliminated, there is no way for anyone to know what is happening on an organizational level. Many of the transnational organizations' model's strengths are also their weaknesses. Because of the complexity, it can be extremely difficult to implement, achieve, and maintain. It can take management extensive time, effort, and motivation to execute, as well as drastic changes along the way. The transnational model is very complex overall, but this complexity is also what makes the model great. It provides for global efficiency, responsiveness, and learning within a concise organization. When managers strive for continuous participation in maintaining and implementing the model, it can be very successful in the global marketplace. Now, we would like to hear your feedback both on our presentation and the transnational model itself, so please answer the following prompts. First, are there any modifications that you think would make this model even more successful in the global marketplace, or possible ways to modify it in order for it to be more applicable to smaller corporations? Also, how does this model compare to your other organizational model preferences so far within this course? Thank you for all your participation and have a great week.